Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CoinGeek Weekly Live Stream. I am your host, Kurt Wuckert Jr., hosting live from just outside the windy city of Chicago. And this will be the very last live stream, at least that I'm aware of, from the windy city. We are leaving Chicago permanently, and I'm still not going to tell you where I'm going. A couple key people know where I'm going, but I will let you know when we get there. But I will be broadcasting next week from a completely different place with better weather, and it's going to be a good time. So I implore you, please like, subscribe, hit that bell, smash that like button, all the other stuff that people say about what you're supposed to do on YouTube here and across all the other stuff. But please, if you could, let people know that we are live. I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything show. We're going to be talking about the big blocks. We're going to talk a little bit about the attacks and why 51% attacks don't exist, and some of the other cool stuff going on in the space, and some other goodies. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, if you want to hook up, I'm going to be making a road trip here. I'm going to be visiting with a couple of the numpties actually on the way down. I think I'm going to see Mr. Crypto Acorns Josh Hensley on my trip as well. And then at some point, I'm going to land at the place where I land, and we'll be broadcasting from there into the future. So please like, subscribe, and all the rest of it. We will continue to do these on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, except I'm going to be changing my time zone. So it's going to be 2 o'clock Eastern from there forward. And you can obviously catch us live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I think we actually just fixed the LinkedIn thing. LinkedIn is notoriously difficult to work with because of just stuff with their API. It's been an issue as long as I've been podcasting and streaming. But I think we finally got that figured out, too. So LinkedIn is now a go. And you can tell your friends who wear suit pants to work that they can watch the show live on LinkedIn as well. And we're pretty excited about that. So I am going to warm my voice up just a little bit, and Mr. Moon is going to push out an advertisement.
Imagine in 1997 paying for something with your watch. Remember the last time you used cash? The world has been digitized. Almost.
Cash was once seen as the last bastion for reform, but now is on the decline. Digital transactions have outcompeted hard currency since 2017 in the UK, but breakthrough bold technologies like blockchain have revolutionized more than just money.
Disruptive technologies call for disruptive lawyers, ones that don't just accept the trend, but find new ways of interpreting the law. We are currently the only global law firm with a real track record in the area of Bitcoin and blockchain. We are results-driven and care only about securing the best possible result for our clients.
We trace the supposedly untraceable. We pioneer the future of law. We deliver new solutions. We are law changers.
Thank you, everyone from Entier. Nice ad there that they produced. Let's start a little bit. There are some Bitcoin Association events coming up. They've been announced in a couple of places, but details have been a little bit sparse. Mr. Brandon Bryant from originally AnyPay and an actual attendee of the Chicago Bitcoin SV meetup in the past, but now working with Handcash, I believe, full-time. Yes, what's happening in Miami on September 1st? Some good stuff. There's going to be a small-ish one-day event to go over some cool stuff in a conference-style format. We're going to be doing little satellite events. Actually, not we. It's Bitcoin Association specifically. Maybe CoinGeek will do something similar. But yeah, basically trying to branch out to other places. It's pretty silly to only be able to do things twice a year where people can pop out. I've been a big advocate of meetups in general for a long time, and Bitcoin Association has taken the reins on that a little bit. And but some other people are working on doing some more stuff and growing that idea, so people don't have to fly to Europe or fly to New York City or whatever just once or twice a year. To give people more opportunities in funner cities like Miami to go do some Bitcoin stuff. So I think it's worth going. Tickets are on sale now. If you use my Tonic Pal link, I get a 10% commission. So that would be awesome if you would sign up for the event from my profile. I think it's my pinned tweet, actually, but it may not be. So I'm not actually sure. That being said, yes, go to the event. Alex has said I'm wrong. The Miami event is free. My bad. I actually got that messed up. I know that's not true. So, yes, sign up for CoinGeek New York using the link in my profile. But yes, the Bitcoin Association events are themselves free. So, good times. Please also let your friends know we are doing this AMA. And I'm going to probably cut this one a little bit short because I actually need to get on the road because I'm going to be doing some visiting. Yo, why all the trading everywhere suspended? So this actually is probably the best place to start and talk about the attack. So what happened is a malicious miner was privately mining a chain. So they were mining blocks, but they were not broadcasting the blocks to the public network. They were waiting until the chain tip was ahead of the publicly available chain tip. This is the coin. This is the block that is Bitcoin and in colloquial terms. But by not broadcasting them and waiting to accumulate a chain tip that was a little bit longer and then also had more proof of work than the public tip, what they do is they then push that chain onto the network with some malicious double spends associated to it. And this is what people would typically call a 51% attack. The problem is that a 51% attack assumes that nodes are just cold, like Terminator computers. They do what they're programmed to do, and they do not do anything else. However, if you read the Bitcoin white paper, you'll read about a little thing called honest nodes. And honest nodes are an extension of honest people. Honest people operate honest nodes. And in order to be in BSV, you need to really be focusing on what your node is doing. You need to have a full-time operator. This is a job. This is a career. And these people need to be monitoring the chain tip and the state of the network, and is there hash power coming from other places, and making sure that their peers are the other honest nodes of the network. This is the Byzantine generals problem solved. Let's back up to the Byzantine generals problem. If you're a Byzantine general and you are surrounding a city, you are active, you are engaged, you are focused on figuring out the best way to take over the city. You're not just sitting there not managing your army. Your army doesn't just do what it's supposed to do because they know how to do it. A general leads. So a general must be focused. He must be waiting to receive messages from his allies or sending messages to those allies. And that is what an honest node is doing. And so a 51% attack does not occur because an honest node would notice almost immediately when a bad signal comes in, when something comes in that is unlike the messages that they would expect from their allies, from the relationships that they have with those allies over years of fighting in battles with them. And so what they do is they immediately say, you know what? We're not going to follow that chain tip. We are not going to go along with this attempt at double spending the network. Something about it's fishy, so we're going to reorganize. We are going to reconvene with the nodes that we trust, and we're going to continue to work on them. So they were orphaned. The malicious attacker wasted something like $150,000 to $250,000 in order to try to double spend BSV. They were all orphaned. They were kicked off, and we moved forward. And that's it. That's the end of the attack. So we survived the attack because 51% attacks just plainly don't exist, because we have honest nodes that are working together and providing proof of work, which allows the other nodes to trust each other. So the problem is that the exchanges, so this is Bittrex, this is CoinEx, OKCoin, Huobi, and some of these other players, is that the real attack vector here, what people are trying to do with a 51% attack, a double spend attack, is that a miner, a malicious miner, is sending a transaction into an exchange, and then they want to sell their BSV for, let's just say, XRP, okay? So they're selling for XRP, and then they want to withdraw that XRP as quickly as possible. And as soon as the XRP is in their wallet, then they push the malicious chain onto the network, and they double spend, and they get their BSV back. And they think all the nodes on the BSV network are going to go along with this newly double spent screw you blockchain. And so the victim would be the exchange. And all of this occurs on low hash chains all over the place all the time, because most people are not actually actively mining. Most people who mine just set up some GPUs and they're pushing hash wherever. They don't even know what chain they're actually mining, and then they just get the profit paid to them in BTC or whatever else that they get normally. So they're not honest nodes. These are just zombie Sybils or something like that. They're a weird little mercenary army that isn't really doing anything. But this is the assumption that goes on in Bitcoin. And right now, all of these exchanges follow the assumptions of the major culture in the space. And that culture is small blocker culture. It is Bitcoin core. It is Blockstream culture. And that culture says that whoever has 51% of the hash power is in charge of the network, period. Bitcoin is cold and dead, and it's just math. Code is law. That's all these things. They talk about math being insurmountable. And it's like, no, math is a tool used by people. Code is a tool used by people. Proof of work is a thing done by people to secure Bitcoin. And so honest nodes make 51% attacks impossible. They do not exist in a network that has honest nodes. So the exchanges are waiting to bring back deposits and withdrawals, but this is under false pretenses. So if we can explain this to them, that we will fight for the valid network always under any attack. There is no call that we will not answer. They should let people deposit and withdraw and trade, because there really isn't any risk for them. So next question. Thank you, Yo-Yo. Kaki Frucht. I think that's what that is. The same attack could also happen in reverse, though. No, push the malicious blocks, get exchanges to accept your fake deposit trade, withdraw. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities. There's time warp attacks. There's poison block attacks. So another thing to do is make a big spend and then push out a block, like in theory, like a terabyte block. This is something that's been theorized for years, also among small blockers, that, well, if the block gets too big, then it's essentially a DDoS attack, and then all the nodes could become disconnected from each other. And if they're disconnected from each other, then they can't communicate, and then double spends can occur in the dark. And so there's been tons and tons of theories about this for a very long time. But what we've proven here with BSV, especially under attack, I love that these attacks happened, and then we immediately, just a week later, started getting blocks that were just about a gigabyte in size. I mean, think about that, a gigabyte. This is 1,000 times more data in a 10-minute period than can even conceivably be done on BTC. You can't do it. And so you start to show that honest nodes do their job, and then it makes these big blocks possible, and the block time doesn't get crazy. There's not a propagation problem. And you start to ask yourself, why is everybody taking the security advice and the economic advice of the small blockers? We continue to prove them wrong. And so, therefore, we should expect more attacks from these people, because what they do not have in many regards is honesty, and they don't have hash power on their side in many cases. And then also, if they actually had a real argument against these things, if they were not existentially afraid of Craig, they would be happy to meet him in court. Craig has been begging people to meet him in court. And to me, that's just another honest proof of work signal. And that honest proof of work signal tells me that they are afraid. I don't know if there's a dog clawing at a curtain somewhere, but there's noise being made in the background. So I apologize. But yes, ultimately, if they had a real trump card, if they knew they had the truth on their side, they wouldn't be afraid of judgment in court. They don't do that. They continue to attack. They continue to snipe. They continue to try to use proof of social media and everything else in order to just keep their narrative going. So next question, Alex, if we have any jumping out at you right now. I'm glad I got the pronunciation correct, Mr. Kaki Frucht. Alan Ross, do you have an opinion on the store of value of BSV compared to precious metals? It's an interesting question. With most things, I think it's funny. So the BTC people have talked about store of value and inflation. I am kind of an anti-fiat currency guy. I do not like the idea of printing our way out of economic problems, mostly because it does devalue what's actually in your pocket. So we're starting to finally see that. I've seen some numbers that are showing like 7 or 8% inflation and loss of purchasing power in various parts of the economy right now. And that is due to both Trump and Biden pushing out all these big payments to people due to the pandemic and lockdowns and everything else. So the product of having a broad welfare state is that the purchasing power of what you have already holding on to in your bank account, that purchasing power goes down. But the BTC people have been talking about this a long time, saying, wow, the $45,000 BTC is indicative of inflation. And it's not, because inflation isn't nearly as bad as they make it out to be, but it is a problem. Now, the real problem is if we're going to have a big fight economically, if we're going to lose the ability to function as people in the economy because of the collapse of the dollar, then we're going to need a very useful replacement very quickly. You're going to need something to pay other productive people to produce important things, because if the economy collapses, it's not about whether you have a great store of value and you're earning good interest or dividends or whatever else, or the power that you can accumulate. What matters is can you pay your bills? Can you buy coffee and milk and drinkable water and meat and bread and whatever else you consume? Are you going to be able to convert any of your money into something that is useful in the real economy? And frankly, BTC is not that, especially under pressure. If all of a sudden there was a bunch of pressure put on BTC, it would become functionally unspendable. Whereas BSV and precious metals, I'm actually a precious metals fan. So I think it's wise actually to have some gold and silver and some other things as a hedge against inflation or, Mad Max collapse. But BSV is an economic tool. We have seen that you can tokenize with it, you can transact with it, you can do person-to-person business, you can do penny-sized person-to-person business or macro business. You can do all kinds of useful things with the tool. So I would think that under extreme pressure, BSV would begin to bear out that it makes a whole lot more sense to use a tool that actually works. Now, all of this is theory and it assumes a bunch of things, and this is kind of a long tail argument. But I think for people, if you're in this, purely as an investment, a speculative investment, it probably makes sense just to focus on making sure that you hold all the SHA-256 versions of Bitcoins. That would be BTC, BCH, BSV, and the new Amori coin, I think is called eCash, because then you don't have to be super political about it. If this is just a hedge against inflation, well, then you get to benefit from the volatility of all of those things in any possible future. Much the same way that it makes sense to keep a water filter and have gold and silver and have a bunch of other things. We're not all geniuses and we're not always right. And a really, truly good investor would seek to mitigate risk if they are only passive. Now, the caveat to that is if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a builder, if you're somebody that needs tools in order to create value, then I kind of don't see a reason for BTC, BCH, or the rest of it at all. BSV is the only thing that actually works as fuel to create wealth. So not just absorb wealth, but create wealth. And this is why I'm such a BSV advocate. But there are different people in the world. And I often tell, when people get super tribal, I ask them if they think that if oil, coal, wind energy, and solar energy executives, do they buy each other's stock? Now, I know it's sometimes you're not allowed to, various non-compete clauses and stuff, but if we're speculating on the future of energy in the world, it makes sense to be a little bit hedged. So even if I'm like a hardcore wind energy guy, maybe I owe some coal stocks or some oil stocks or nuclear, or I buy a bunch of uranium or something. This is something that a wise but passive investor would do. So just FYI. Do we have another question, Mr. Moon? Jim Dobeam, who is selling BSV directly? Lots of places had liquidity issues recently, which showed them to be middlemen on the BSV fiat ramp. This is true. Actually, I'm going to give a little plug for Twetch here. They have an OTC chat. So if you're looking to transact in amounts that are reasonable for reasonable people, you may want to join the Twetch OTC chat. Where I've seen, people use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal in exchange for sending each other some BSV. So that could be the simplest way for people to do something like that. But as for people that are doing it direct, everybody uses market makers and liquidity pools. So who's actually got your Bitcoin? The question is a little unclear. In a lot of cases, it's actually a company called Fireblocks, which a lot of people don't know who Fireblocks is, but Fireblocks provides liquidity to lots of people. Fabric is another player that I don't think has a retail solution open to the public yet, but they do have deep liquidity pools because they are trying to be their own liquidity partner. If you have something like 25 grand or more, you can send me a DM and I can connect you with the people over there. They have an OTC desk, but their minimum is $25,000, and that's buys or sells on BSV. So if you need to exit or if you need to buy some BSV, you can send me a DM and I can hook you up with them. But again, the minimum is $25,000 and it's full KYC, AML, and the rest of it. But does Bittrex have BSV? Yes, they have some. Coinbase even has some, even though they won't let you trade it. Bitfinex and Huobi and OKX, like these are people that have some, and by some I mean more than most individuals. But they're probably all likely using some of the bigger custodians, and I would guess, just a theory, that the biggest custodian of BSV is likely Fireblocks, because they're the biggest company that does custodian work, who also offers services on BSV. So I would guess they're holding it, but they probably don't sell direct, and they probably have even higher minimums than Fabric. So those are your options: Twetch OTC, Fabric OTC, or you can start to hit up, I believe, like CoinEx and some of these other people have opened back up, but these are not KYC, AML compliant. Some of them are in parts of the world where you may not be, and they may not accept your business. So doing what we can, folks. Sir Nakamoto 1, how long before Terranode is implemented? It's actually implemented now in a software sense. It's been running, it's probably been running on some Steve server somewhere for 2 years or more. I don't know exact rollout times. In fact, it's probably secret end chain stuff, but they said that they would be using them as listening nodes before the end of the year, and then they would be making their way to starting to mine blocks next year. This was all in Steve's presentation at CoinGeek Zurich. So I would guess that that's still the case. Although I don't know that there's an obvious way, until somebody builds a block with a Terranode and tells people that they're using Terranode. I don't know that there's a way to know whether there is or isn't a Terranode running on the network right now. There very well may be Terranode listeners right now. We just wouldn't know. So it's more of a Steve Shatters question. So maybe we can get him on as a guest on the weekly live stream sometime soon and ask him some technical questions. It'll be a lot of fun. Alex Moon, what do we got here? Earth, when is Crypto Fights going to be back online? It's another one I'm not sure of, but I've heard rumors that we could be looking at the end of the week, actually. One of the interesting things about the attacks going on is it gave them the opportunity to come offline and upgrade their servers, because BSV did really, really well. Like, it was making the NFTs, it was managing the fights, everything was going fantastic on the BSV side, but their own internal infrastructure, they were not expecting to have so much volume so quickly, and their internal infrastructure just frankly wasn't enough to deal with it. So they were crashing their own infra before BSV was able to, or before BSV even started to hiccup. So they went offline and they're upgrading their stuff, beefing it way up, as I understand it. And I'm sure they're itching to get back online as quickly as possible too. I did hear rumors that we could be looking at something like the end of the week, but that's not confirmed. They do have a Telegram group and a Discord group, however. So if you want to look on the Crypto Fights Twitter, they have links to their Telegram and Discord groups, and you can talk to all the guys. You can talk to David and Adam, and they're happy to answer your questions there directly. So, Mr. Moon, if we get to like 2 questions left, give me a flag in the private chat so I know when to wind things down with my sultry voice. Sir Randy, I'm guessing this is Randy from Twetch. What's going on with Fabric? Didn't follow much of that drama where they weren't supporting PSV or something. Yeah, they. I don't want to talk badly about Fabric, but whoever's doing their social media should probably send me a DM, because yeah, I don't know. Their tweets look like, I would guess they have 2 people doing their social media, and one of them understands BSV and the other person is recycling generic crypto quote stuff because their tweets are a little weird. And it does, however, show how decentralized the narrative is. So I don't know. Nobody's perfect, especially not companies that apparently have like 100 or 150 employees and everything else. I do know they're working hard. I do know some really good people working at Fabric. So I would guess they're overwhelmed. But Arcade Rob, any schedule on when block limit is going to be raised? 3 gig, 4 gig, 10 gig? Based on the accelerationism that we've seen recently, I would guess that by the next 2 weeks, we'll have an 8 gig cap or something like that. It's not very often that block sizes double. So we went from 638 megabytes as the world record, like something like 6 months ago. And then we hit a gigabyte block. And then like 3 or 4 days later, we got 2 gigabyte blocks. And now just not too long ago today, we had another 1.7 gig block. So our average block size is going up very, very rapidly. I don't know what that indicates. And here's the thing. If we had 10 gigs in the mempool, like that's only 5 blocks in order to clear it if you have a 2 gigabyte soft cap or something going on. So like it's not the end of the world to leave stuff in the mempool, but if your peers would accept a 10 megabyte or a 10 gigabyte block, then shoot, mine a 10 gigabyte block. Why not? So I don't know. Frankly, it's up to the miners. So right now we've got via BTC. We got Hathor is back. We got Tal, SV Pool, and then a mix of SBI Crypto, and then some of the smaller ones. I'd like to see Matterpool mining some more blocks. Also, I know they're busting ass with some really cool stuff. Also, and then a little gorilla told me that the GoriallaDAO, the Gorilla Pool, is about to really start making some waves here. So I'd like to see Gorilla Pool mining some big blocks too. It's something I'm a little bit involved in as a DAO member. But actually, I'll share a little bit. So GoriallaDAO is one of the first proposals that passed was to build the Gorilla Pool. We want it to be one of the honest nodes on BSV. And a couple of people stepped up, had a little bit of infrastructure themselves, and we set some stuff up. And we actually have a listening node up on the network right now. It is listening to the network, and it has a little bit of hash power, but not nearly enough to compete against some of the other guys. So we've been brainstorming just the last couple of weeks on working with some of the really cool people in the space. We're not going to give it away, but there's some really cool gorillas talking about ways to mine some blocks. And I think we're starting to get to the point where a proposal could pay for a very good system in order to get some serious hash power from Gorilla Pool, and pointed to Gorilla Pool and allow Gorilla Pool to mine some blocks. So I don't know. I speaking on behalf of the Gorilla Pool, I would say I'd love to see the cap raised. Problem is, if you don't all do it together, there starts to be orphan risks and chain split risks and things too. So it needs to be coordinated. But I think Gorilla Pool needs to start mining blocks. And as soon as Gorilla Pool starts mining blocks, then we will have a seat at the table. We'll be able to start doing our thing, and that will be pretty cool. Alex, next question. Demir DD, CBDCs going to be built on XDC, XRP, XLM. Will those work with BSV in the future? I don't know for sure that CBDCs are going to be built on anybody's proof of stake chain. XRP is still in court because Ripple, the company, is being sued and all of that. And then XLM is just a fork of XRP, and it's created by the same founder. Did you know the founder of XRP is the same guy that founded XLM? His name is Jed McCaleb. He's famous for starting one other thing. What is it? It's Mt. Gox, actually. So if you want to go talk about some really, really nice people, Jed McCaleb created XRP, XLM, and Mt. Gox. He sold it to Mark Carpelli, who I think is really the guy who destroyed everything. But yeah, Carpelli's was probably the bad guy. Oh, I'm getting interesting text messages from my wife, who's traveling. So I'm gonna keep going though. She's fine. She'll live, it looks like. So wifey, could you explain use cases for the new Kensai platform that Enchain built? Well, right now they launched with Company. Company is their client. So it's serving them directly right now. Essentially what it is blockchain as a service. So if you don't want to run your own infrastructure, and maybe you don't have a guy who's a blockchain engineer, but you want to use a timestamp server or have transaction frictionlessness or something like that, Kensai allows you to work directly with nChain and have nChain sort of manage everything through an API, and you just get this really nice dashboard. And then that's wonderful for everybody. So that's kind of a good thing there. As for how it works, I haven't seen a demo of how it works, the actual UI UX stuff, but I know it's one of the things that they're super excited about. So I imagine it's pretty good. And we'll probably see demos. But we know that they launched with a client. They may actually be putting transactions on chain now, but I don't know. Only got a couple questions left, so we'll probably finish a little early so I can hop on the phone and deal with all kinds of other stuff going on. Also, Parker's Garden, can you help me build a Craigslist on BSV? I have no computer skills outside of twetching. I don't know about me personally, but if you've got some budget, I'd be happy to talk. Next question, Mr. Moon, if there is one. What is your guess on what most of the data is? Do you think it's just videos, or maybe it's enterprise applications? Actually, a good chunk of it now is an identity application out of China. They call it Meta ID, which is an identification protocol built tangentially to the MetaNet protocol, which they are using for all kinds of social media, wallet management stuff, tokens, and then a whole like DeFi thing that they're doing over there too. So that is identification information in order for people to sign up, in order to use all kinds of stuff in this broader ecosystem that's going on in China, which we don't keep up with because for some reason the East and West don't even talk to each other in the BSV community. But this is actually pretty common in a lot of business situations or in blockchain communities. The Chinese devs are kind of doing their own thing, and we don't necessarily know what's going on unless somebody has the cojones to reach out and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Can we work together? And if we would do that, we would know what's up. But yeah, Meta ID is a lot of the new block size that's coming down the pike, but I don't know much else. Crypto Fights should be back any minute or any day or any something. And then we'll see their blocks getting big too. Next question, if there is one. Mort, do you think the Kleiman trial will happen this time or delayed again? If so, predictions, what will come out of it? Ultimately, it's a discussion about who has the rights to 1.1 million coins of Satoshi Nakamoto. So at the end of it, as long as it doesn't settle out of court and have some non-disclosure, non-disparagement agreement, we'll have a little bit more information on exactly the nature of Satoshi Nakamoto. However, if you want to get some hints about what's going on, there's been a number of interviews, both on this show and with Mr. Charles Miller, recently with Ian Grigg, who gave all kinds of great information. Then I also interviewed Stephen Matthews and a couple other people about some really interesting tidbits. So if you want to go back and rewatch, I think some of that stuff will get clarified a little bit better in the very near future. Mr. Moon, do we have more information? What is 21E8? All right, I guess we're going 2 hours on this show. 21E8 is a business started by Mark Wilcox based on the power of magic numbers and the notion that aesthetics matter. And they do matter. Magic numbers exist because reality is mathematical. This is why Fibonacci works and the golden ratio and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of ethereal stuff that goes into it. But in reality, our real lives are very ethereal. We don't know what love is either. We don't know why we want to buy a new race car every year because it only looks a little bit different. But aesthetics are a cool thing. But what Mark is trying to do is build a data management protocol that allows him to basically control everything. He will often say, your things will become our things. And the word things can be swapped out for all kinds of other words. But he's either a genius or he's completely crazy. But it doesn't matter because he's going full force on 21E8 forever, it seems. Next question, sir. It's getting warm in here. Will you be in Miami for the BSV Association conference? Yes, I will. I will be in Miami for the BSV stuff. I will be in New York for the CoinGeek stuff, and I will be everywhere else they send me in an official capacity as the official historian of all Bitcoin, but working for CoinGeek. So, next question, sir. This AMA is great. Oh, okay. So Alex says you can go now. So, all right, everybody. I am going to wrap up early because I've got a whole bunch of stuff to deal with, and I'm going to be road tripping to my destination immediately. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank my dear wife who is amidst it all right now. So I love you, dear. I'm sorry life is the way that it is sometimes, but I will see you soon and I will help you with the children. And I also want to thank everybody at CoinGeek, the lovely Alex Moon, my executive producer who makes these things happen. I want to thank the Bulldog, the man who encouraged me to do this show under pressure just to see how well I could perform, I think. And then a whole bunch of other stuff. So please, everybody, like, subscribe, smash that something. Let your friends know that they should also subscribe. Share this video across social media and sign up using my affiliate link for the CoinGeek conference in New York because I get 10% of whatever you pay for a ticket. And yes, join me in Miami on September 1st, which is about a month before the CoinGeek conference itself. We're going to be doing all kinds of cool stuff. Thank you again, everybody. This has been the CoinGeek Weekly Livestream. I am your bald-ass host, Mr. Kurt Wuckert Jr., and I will see you next week at 2 Eastern Time, which is the same time as this show started, too. So, talk soon, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Imagine in 1997 paying for something with your watch. Remember the last time you used cash? The world has been digitized. Almost.
Cash was once seen as the last bastion for reform, but now is on the decline. Digital transactions have outcompeted hard currency since 2017 in the UK, but breakthrough bold technologies like blockchain have revolutionized more than just money.
Disruptive technologies call for disruptive lawyers, ones that not just accept the trend, but find new ways of interpreting the law. We are currently the only global law firm with a real track record in the area of Bitcoin and blockchain. We are results driven and care only about securing the best possible result for our clients.
We trace the supposedly untraceable. We pioneer the future of law. We deliver new solutions. We are law changers.